Muhammad Masare was killed by kindness but died of shame, fearing that dozens of friends who lived in his small, farming village of Bump in Sierra Leone would die because of their kindness to him. Masare was the village taxi driver, with a reputation for responding to any call, day or night, and not charging if the passenger could not afford to pay. His last fare was on December 5, 2014, a pregnant woman he picked up in Jesus Town in the diamond-rich Kono district, who was clearly very ill. Even after she vomited in his taxi, he took her to the district's hospital, where she collapsed and died of Ebola. When Masare returned to the village, he asked Sheko Masare, no relation, to wash out the car and then fell ill, ignoring requests on radio for the mystery man who took the woman to hospital to come forward. When Masare was taken to the same hospital by his best friend, Sadhu Bagara, he maintained his silence, but was assured by one of the hospital's two overworked doctors that he had suffered a stroke and should return to the village and rest. Given the scale of the Ebola epidemic in the small West African country at the time, the nurse who cared for him, Admire Kaba, sought, and received, an assurance that it was safe to touch him, and friends in the village felt it was safe to call by and wish him well. Then he died and Kaba was given the grim news that a test confirmed he had Ebola. "We are all finished," was how she passed on the news to Mr. Bagara, who worked as a tailor and farmer and described his age of 68 plus. Get the latest news and updates emailed straight to your inbox. By submitting your email, you are agreeing to Fairfax Media's terms and conditions and privacy policy. Then they started falling like dominoes. Mr. Bagara went to the hospital when he started to show the symptoms, the shivers, diarrhea and burning eyes. He was transferred in an ambulance to a treatment center at Kima with 5 other family members, including his wife, his brother and one of his daughters. They all died, and their names are among the 33 honored on a plaque in the center of the village. Those who survived are bonded by an unfathomable sorrow, but say they have been helped immeasurably by a literacy program that is funded by an Australian grant of little more than $30,000. Almost all of the survivors were illiterate before they enrolled in the one-year program, funded by the Direct Aid Program of the Australian High Commission in Ghana. Most had never been inside a classroom and could not write their names or count their change when they went to the market. They were also isolated, shunned by those who feared they could still be carrying the infection, and even poorer than before they became ill because their possessions were burned when they were taken away for treatment. Nearly all of the 81 survivors in Kono, and more than a third of the more than 700 survivors in nearby Port Loko, enrolled in the program, and the overwhelming majority say it has changed their lives. Among the students at Bump are Mr. Bagara, who says he forgives his friend for not alerting people to the risk that he had Ebola, Adama Bagara, who was the best friend of Admire Kaba, the nurse, Komba Yamba, who drove Mr. Masare to hospital.